Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching us. Welcome. My name is Anita Kijanka and I run Strong Women in IT. And today we are going to talk about AI in business and ethical boundaries. And to this super exciting topic and super important for us as entrepreneurs, we invited really amazing guests. So without further ado, let me introduce Magdalena Kasiewicz, Director of Cloud Services Sales at HPE. Hello, Magda.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon.
Heather Barton-Jones, Area Vice President, Strategic Transformation Office at UiPath International.
Hello, ladies. Great to be here.
And Kasia Gruszka, Partner at Nomtech.
Hello, great to see you actually here.
Ladies, today we have so important topic, but before we start, can you say us a few sentences? What is your duties? What are you doing at your companies? Why you are allowed to talk about AI ethics and especially AI in business? Magda, can you start?
Yes, first of all, I am AI enthusiast. So I started, playing and doing the solutions when I was during the studies more than 20 years ago. So I have technical background, but also I was helping customers to adopt some AI solutions for many years. I was working with a couple of companies. Right now, I am in HPE, also responsible for cloud solution, including the special private cloud for AI, and I'm responsible for the kind of development of sovereign AI solutions.
Wonderful. Heather, how about you? What is your Area Vice President Strategic Transformation Office means in practice?
It sounds like a very grand job title for what I think is the best job in UiPath. So I run a team of transformation directors that sit across our international business. So that's Europe and the Middle East and the Asia Pacific and Japan region. And we work with our most strategic customers on looking at how we solve their biggest problems. So we're really trying to find the KPIs that matter most to our customers and understand how UiPath's extended platform, which now involves agentic AI, can help to resolve that. So we're really looking at how we use AI to drive business outcomes across our customers and build those meaningful partnerships.
Great. And Kasia, partner at Nomtech, what are you doing? What is your responsibilities?
I'm doing a lot of actually different stuff in different areas. So that's not like one thing I deal with at a time, but I guess all of us do. But I would say like prime things that I'm dealing with is also like similar to Heather, like guiding strategic clients through like innovation, not only in AI, but also AR, VR, and anything that's actually new on a digital market. And the other thing is actually working closely with tech giants like, for example, Meta or Nvidia, or on any of their new tools that are supposed to hit market very soon. So my task is to make sure that we get access to the first beta versions of these tools and have test a little bit of this, and thanks to that also guide our clients and be the first one to leverage these new technologies.
Super. I have so many questions for you, and I guess we won't cover all of them. But let's start with something really simple, because Magda just mentioned that she is tech enthusiast and AI enthusiast, and she started using AI really long time ago. And to be precise, 2.5 years ago, when ChatGPT was launched, everything exploded, and AI is the main topic. Magda, can you tell us more how you recall when you recall about using the AI in the past, how it changed, and how was your emotions that time? Like
So
can you tell us
yes. So definitely it was very different time. Yes, 20 years ago it was machine learning. I was developing solutions. So I never, I was using, of course, testing and checking, but there were solutions for the medical systems or some other, but actually I was developing them during the studies. And because of my background, and I was later mainly managing programs and teams. I was not really developing, but because of my background, I was observing what is going on the market in this area. That time there was not so many, work position even for AI specialists. And I think, for me, the 2 years ago, you mentioned about the ChatGPT. And so for me, it was just a new thing coming, but I think it's because it was accessible for everyone. It just blew. But from technical perspective, it didn't change a lot what we are doing. It just, I think the most innovative things were in the materials. So actually the processors, the disk, they are bigger and so on. So we can process more data. That's why it's possible right now to do those wonderful things like generative AI. But generally for me, it was interesting. I was super excited that finally I have those tools which are handy to use. So for me, it's really, really something interesting. And but this is what I remember. I felt when I started to play with ChatGPT was the first one. So with the ChatGPT, but later with the other chats. But it's interesting because I think this is just the beginning of very interesting journey for us in terms of generative AI, because we need to remember that Gen AI is not only about the text. Yes, it's the pictures, but also designs and some other things. So huge, interesting things in front of us.
Thank you. Heather, how was it in your case? Do you remember your first usage of AI? Of course, it can be something in the past, and of course, it can be something closer to us right now.
Yeah, so I have this debate quite a lot internally around when we think about, and there's different definitions for it for different people. If I think about it through that personal productivity setting that ChatGPT's kind of been the catalyst for, everyone talks about Clippy. You think in Microsoft Word, he was sat there, and it creates a really interesting debate. And I've had a few discussions on this around when you look at the success of ChatGPT versus some of those original assistants in that kind of context. The importance of hyper-personalization is the bit that makes the massive difference, because Clippy was useful the first time, the second time, but it became a distraction as soon as it became unhelpful because we could outperform it. And that's the biggest thing I've seen as the difference is before, where it's almost been kind of a novelty application of it, it's never been specialist enough to actually impact the end user's work and the changes that has. The light bulb moment where you see people get it and understand it, like that ChatGPT moment, is where it actually makes a difference to people's lives. And I think the specialist application of it is what allows us to take it away from sort of historic scientific theory and into actual application where it matters, because unless we can apply it and drive outcomes with it, kind of doesn't really mean anything. It's a fun thought experiment. And I think when you step back and look at the different types of cycles of innovation we've seen in the industry, and you think about industrial revolutions before, it's all about the adoption. That defines the success of a technology and how it's implemented. So that hyper-personalization piece that we've seen such a shift away from the novelty of assistance of the past, I think is the most interesting balance on how it becomes more meaningful, because not only are people adopting it, they're actually starting to expect it in different settings. And that creates a different conversation, a business context of going, wow, it's not that we have to force adoption. We now actually have to think about how do we govern and manage this safely in our organization. So it creates a completely different set of questions for us as leaders across the industry.
Absolutely. And this accessibility is completely different, So, but Kasia, what is your view on it? Do you remember your first contact with AI?
Yeah, the first one was actually around the old machine learning, but then the Gen AI came in. And as far as I remember, the first tools I've been like checking up myself was not ChatGPT, was actually Character AI and Midjourney, because at the time I was working a lot with the entertainment sector. And I had to test it, so it was like even my duty to do this at some point. And very soon, we actually realized that it's not very welcomed by the entertainment and Hollywood industry, as you know. There's been a lot of fear about job displacement and, also quality, etc. So it was a moment where we had to, like, also with our clients, find the right fit for actually leveraging this, yes, but not spoiling the thing. So and I remember that these were the two tools I actually started with. And to be very honest, nowadays I use both ChatGPT and the other tool, which is called actually Granola, so for my everyday use. So it helps a lot in plenty of areas, actually.
So
And I don't know
let's
if
go
you know.
deeper with
Yeah.
If you
Okay.
compare, let's go deeper with it, because if you compare your, let's say, usage of AI to be more productive, to work faster, to you right now and to you a year before, have you seen the changes? Have you seen that you use it more often? You are becoming more addicted, let's say, to use AI in your everyday work?
To be very honest, I use it like every day. So it's like I switch between my like creative and focus work, and then I jump towards AI support, and then I go back, and so it's like I switch between the two. But I've become I think like massively more productive. Like the tool that I mentioned, Granola, for example, it's like you can think like it's a simple note-taking tool, yes, but I attend a lot of meetings, and previously I had to, like, note everything down, and at the same time be, this very active listener, jumping in with the right questions or with the right, sharing some expert knowledge. So it was like very difficult to juggle the two. So it's a lifesaver tool for me. The previous tools that I've tested, but I haven't tested all of them, so there might be better ones, but this one is my favorite because it actually has some sample templates. So it's not like only chronological, but certain sentences jump into categories like next steps, or scope requirements, or product insights, or whatsoever. So I can actually very quickly navigate through the notes. So you still have to keep the human in the loop, so have this oversight in the end, but it's great because you only review, yes, and add a little bit here and there. And you can also see the limitations because it doesn't work well with the proper names. It doesn't work well also with doesn't work at all with the body language. So it's sometimes something that we have to read ourselves, and input over there. And with ChatGPT, perfect for my needs, because very often I have to, share the same amount of knowledge, but to different audience. So that's very helpful. Just working on one input, which is usually my human input, but still, ChatGPT can quickly adjust it to different contexts. And as you can also hear, I'm not a native speaker, so it's also very helpful with a written word, because it can turn your non-native, style into more native style. But its superpowers are actually adjusting to, at the same time, your personal tone of voice and your personal style. So that's great that you can actually leverage that on a daily basis. So that this, and for sure I'm using it a lot for competitor analysis, for going through any trends, etc. The only thing I of course do is just check the source, because we want to definitely follow the right sources. So that's the only thing to be cautious of, but I use it a lot for these purposes. So
I
that's
love I love different hacks, the way how people use certain things. And I guess, I believe that later I will have to watch this webinar once again and make notes, because now I'm listening to you, make notes, what are you are you using it, because this is the case of AI. You have to know the use cases, because it's so generic. You can use it so widely that sometimes it's really useful to find and listen how others are using it. Heather, how it is in your case when you compare you to yourself right now and have 1 year ago? Have the usage of technology like AI, increased?
It's definitely increased. And I think the ironic thing is I probably notice my use of it less, even though I'm using it more. So it's becoming part of my kind of day-to-day and how I do it, and I'm not really thinking about it, which, I think is a good sign. And I use it for the same thing, note-taking in meetings, because I'm jumping from meeting to meeting, and particularly now when we're back in a hybrid world of being face-to-face and remote, it just means that I think I can be more present when I don't have to worry about it or think about it. And it also holds me accountable to the things I agreed to in meetings that I may or may not have forgotten about. But it also, we've got, similar to an autopilot tool internally, we've got a proprietary one that actually is grounded in our context. So it can help me find documents I've hidden in a folder somewhere that I can't find really quickly, or summarize documents really quickly to help me prepare for meetings quick. So it's even more effective because it's embedded in the context of our organization and how we're operating. So I think that's made it far more useful to me. I think when it's more generic in terms of just kind of wordsmithing or being creative in those senses, I quite enjoy that part of my job. So I don't need it to draft documents for me. What I need it to do is get the data to me so that then I can do that. And I think the best part of my work that I love the most is when I can be creative. The mundane administrative stuff is not the bit I'm good at. So it allows me more time to be creative and analytical and find the insights for me, rather than me spending my time or my team having to spend time gathering those insights together. So I'm more efficient, but I'm more engaged because I'm allowed to do more of the things that I love.
Oh, I definitely in a team creative. Yeah, absolutely. This is my team. Magda, the same question, because we have to go deeper with the usage, with the ethics, but how you use AI and how it changed during the year?
I think it's very, very similar to Heather and Kasia. So I think I actually jumped into these tools very, very fast. Actually, I remember even a year ago, or even like January last year, I started to use also Copilot that I was actually transcripting what I was running and talking to myself, for example. I was running, talking to myself, and then I was putting to the tools. The tools were not so good at the time, but to put this and then to organize the thoughts, for example, yes. But I think so definitely right now there's a lot of conversation that I'm doing with my chat, let's say. You see that it's kind of personalized already, because this is kind of way of discussing between me and me, because this chat is personalized and it's kind of my style and so on, which is interesting. But one of the things that I need to be, and it's kind of difficult for me still, and even more and more, but I'm learning, but it's very difficult. It's about privacy, what I can put in the tool, which tool and when. And this is actually constant thinking, and actually maybe I would say I spend usually, this is a habit. Every time when I use this, I am just thinking this is the right tool, this is the right place, this is the right data, because we need to differentiate words. Public chat, you can use, so you need to think twice what you want to, because this is not only the tool but also the public information. So actually it's actually adding some information to the public information, and we need to be aware about this. And I think because it's so nice, because it's so helpful, it's actually, I think that's why education is so important, because I believe that people who are not aware how dangerous it is can use it, easily, just copy documents and so on. And you can find a way always to do it, even when there is a company security checking and so on, you can always find a way how to do it, pictures or something. So I think that right now I'm in the stage like how to build the habits, how to recognize when to use what, and it's more about, being, and I am here, but I am talking with people who never thought about this. They are starting to use, and they just use it. And it's amazing because taking to consideration the year ago when it was chat, chat, it's nice because this is dialogue. So you are usually, when you want to know something, you are asking 6 to 7 times. You are prompting 6 to 7 times usually. Like this is from the statistics. But actually, right now, I do this much less in the subjects that I am using my tools, because there is something like projects. So you can have the project which is around some subject. For example, if I want to build my personal brand, what I want to actually show outside, what are topics that I want to discuss, you can put. And then every time when you do some other request, for example, post or speech or anything, you can actually use the same project, and then it's extending. So it's actually not only about the prompts, that it's a kind of better and better because you have deep questions, but also about the project and the subject. So it's very interesting because it's actually right now super productive for me.
And look, we all, so what you already said, we are using AI. And it's for sure that our teams are also using AI. Do you have something like a code of conduct, rules, guidelines to which your teams can use AI and areas when it's not allowed? Hefe, how it is your case? Do you have such a guidelines, or do you mentor your team? How you should think, like Magda said, about the security of AI tools?
We have organizational guidelines internally that help guide us at the top level, which is great. So it's very clear around that education part of when should and shouldn't we use different sets of tools. So we've actually tried to take a little bit of the risk out of that as an organization by having our own proprietary chat system. So our autopilot internally is completely grounded in our context and creates a safe place for people to leverage and exploit all of the different AI that's out there with no risk of error. So there's no risk of you accidentally giving away IP by putting it into a public model innocently without realizing. So we've almost created the right forum to do that, but we still have to educate the teams. I think there's a concern and a kind of a risk for people thinking, well, if I use AI, it's not my work. Or if I use AI, it's not my IP. Or someone else will think I haven't done it. I saw a really interesting post the other day about ChatGPT has a certain size of hyphen that it puts in, so you can tell when it's ChatGPT and when it's not, and those sorts of conversations. I think the more we can change the preconception around it's a supplement into the human effort, it's not replacing it, and changing that perception means that it becomes that assistant that helps you do more and takes that away. So we definitely coach the teams. I actually have to sometimes coach the teams on how to use it more, to exactly the points on how do we do competitor analysis. Like there's things that you can do to save time and be more efficient that, will do it as well as you can, if not better. Then you can spend the time analyzing and understand the data and what to do with it rather than spending the time finding the data. But in terms of the code of conduct, we've really tried to take and support the team in not having to do their own thinking as how do I ring fence the risk of that. We've really tried to manage that as an organization to make sure that people can get the most out of it. And we can then start to evidence what good looks like, so we can showcase that for our customers as well.
So on one hand, you have this code of conduct. On the other hand, you have to, advise them, suggest them to use AI to be more efficient and more productive.
Definitely. And we do knowledge sharing internally of simple things of, have you thought about doing this? And, we did this and it was amazing. Just trying to get a little bit of positive momentum and knowledge sharing between teams on where they're getting the best effect from it. And it starts to build a little bit of momentum.
Well, there is like a prompt ebook, the best prompt you can.
It's all in our internal Slack of different hints of different things to do.
Great. Kasia, how it is in your case? Do you have such a rules, how that your teams have to follow when it comes to using the AI? And how about the input? and output you are creating? How it looks in your case?
Yeah. I think it's kind of similar to what you, Heather, said. So we do have some certain guidelines. We also do have a security officer that also, creates and updates the list of like the tools we can use and we cannot in general. However, to be very, very honest, what we struggle with is that we see that there is still a gap between progress and our guidelines, because new tools are coming up all the time. So it's like a very living guideline, I would say. So that's like the only issue we have with that. So we do share, and I would say it's not only about the guidelines, like how to use them in a secure way, but what we try to do internally is we talk a lot about its limitations and superpowers. So, but I think similar in your case, Heather, right? Like these are so.
I think
sometimes we even advise them.
Yes.
Sorry. Sorry, Magda. Last thing. So sometimes we even, get advised by one of the internal experts not to leverage something, like just don't do this because XYZ. So it's like there are those guidelines. Sorry. To you, Magda.
Oh, no, it's okay. I'm just saying that the basics are the same. So I think every company which want to be productive and use AI, they need to prepare the guidance, educate the employees, and give actually space. We have also internal chat with the company to have the really safe space to play with the AI, with the chat, and I think this is something that we. When someone is from customers are saying me, yeah, we don't want to allow any chat because whatever, is just like, anyway, if you will not do this, if you don't do it actually, then your employees will, and this is actually, yes, or they will use outside tools sooner or later, because they actually, there is a need. And I will share, because why it's so important is because the data isn't data, and after COVID they showed that there is this productivity, even in the research, Microsoft Research Center, they called productivity paranoia, which means that actually there is so much focus on productivity, but on the other hand, so there is so much push from managers for the employees to be productive, that actually they feel this, and actually the productivity is high, still the managers feel that it's lower because they don't have so much control, because they don't see everyone in the office every day. So there is so much push that actually employees needs to do something and help themselves to be more productive, to answer faster, and so on. And over the last, I think, 5 years, it changed so much. So it wouldn't be fair. It's not fair to push and not give the tools to the teams to be productive.
Yeah, that's really. Oh, the question to Heather: do you measure usage of AI in organization? If yes, what metrics you recommend? And I think that Kasia and Magda, you also could answer to this question.
So the way that we typically measure the usage of AI is we're looking at the outcome it drives. So when we think about enterprise AI at scale, we're looking at both the measure of personal productivity, of actual utilization of it at an individual level, but the bigger impact is, where are we seeing that change? So if someone's no longer having to do a manual process because they're spending their time differently, there's a save on FTE cost of the running of that process itself, which is a quantitative saving. But the qualitative side of that is, okay, so where are they spending their time? And we're seeing really interesting applications of, if you think about it in a customer experience or a customer context setting, actually they're spending their time looking at how do they either upsell customers or focus on securing them rather than just servicing the reactive demand. So we measure both the FTE changes in productivity at a really hard level, but the more interesting element is what are the qualitative KPIs that we can start to impact on customer experience, employee experience, retention. There's lots of different 360 metrics you can look at it when you're applying AI across the enterprise, not just at a personal productivity level.
Wonderful answer. I would say this is super important, because if you start think about the KPIs, it can be also that like wrong path even, because if you will, because we don't, the measurement and the impact is huge, it's bigger than we can assess. So usually that's why the research companies are measuring rather connotation between the the new technology usage, general, how much they are using the employees, and for example increase of revenue or retention rate or something like this, because the mistake is to say like I will add in this part of the process this tool and check how much it will, I don't know, increase the number of I don't know, or decrease the time or something like this, because it's not enough usually. There is no business case for every and key it's very difficult to build a business case for every use case, because it's actually general and it's impact the other revenue streams and BUs, different business use needs. So it's very difficult to measure. That's why usually we measure the general impact on the company.
Kasia, and the same question for you, but I will add something more. If you have the outcome done with or by AI, do you inform clients that it was created with AI, or how you inform about the output that you received? Do you even receive clients that it was created with AI? So on one hand, do you measure, and how do you measure? And are your clients informed, or should we inform clients that what you do was created with AI?
Okay,
that's
the other part.
Question.
That's so challenging, I guess. Yeah, you challenged me, Anita. Okay, when it comes to measuring, we don't do it on personal level. We've been crazy enough to actually try to measure that, like do the same project with and without AI and try to measure, but then we quickly realized it's in most cases impossible, because you have also sometimes you have different outputs. Yes, so like they are similar but they are not the same, so it was very, very difficult to measure. So that's basically how we do it. What we strongly do is just to encourage leveraging that, and set your own boundaries within the limitations and guidelines that are set by the company. So just be comfortable with the tool basically. And informing the client, that's a good question.
So maybe let's talk about your company, but how you see it. Do you because this is a discussion that is not it's not common. This is that it's going to be open. Let's be the first to open this discussion. Should we like in general inform our clients that what we are doing, we are using AI to be more productive?
Thanks for precising this. I do believe that we should inform. In general, we should inform clients that when we have a user-centric tool, we should, I believe that the user should be aware that we are using AI behind, and not only aware, but also I think like it's our responsibility to give some guidelines or guys. So we've created this amazing tool to help you XYZ, but be aware to use it in this way. Be cautious about that, yes, but also enjoy the superpowers behind XYZ again. And I don't think it can be harmful in any way. It's just informing, and to me, it's just like a typical onboarding we are used to. Yes, every time we download a tool, we sort of go through this onboarding. Like, okay, so I can help you with this, but don't try doing this with me because that's not gonna work. Yes, so I believe it would be great if this could be applied to also AI tools at a larger scale than currently. And even at one of the conferences, I met this amazing ladies from a startup for women. And this it's a space for women, but not only men are also welcome, I guess. They were
Absolutely.
creating they were creating a e-doula app for supporting women during pregnancy, and they were leveraging an AI a lot, and they of course humanized this doula just to emphasize the powers of empathy behind AI, because it's got its empathy,
Dula is this
basically.
woman. This Dula is this woman who's helping when there is this birth of the kid, of the baby.
Yeah, yeah. And it was throughout the whole. It also guides you through the processes until it happens. So they were doing this amazing projects with AI, but it was very obvious, yes, to the users that they are leveraging AI, and of course, it was a very safe tool because it's been born in Finland, and they are crazy about safety and security and everything. So but they just inform, like, you can ask me questions and I'll try to answer in the most medical and truthful way. But of course, the boundaries were set very clearly for the AI, and anytime something potentially important came up, there was a suggestion just to reach professional support. Yes, but still, like, I think you can use it for many different jobs, for at many different industries. But whenever you use it, I think the user should be informed. To be very honest.
Magda, how do you
I
agree?
think that clear labeling is very important. So actually, whenever I react with AI, yes. If every company should inform that you are using AI, I'm not sure, because it depends. But every interaction definitely is something which should be actually very clear labeled. So which is not unfortunately happening, because we have very often, I have like calls or, some interactions, and there is no like, I am, virtual assistant or something. It's just more and more, deep fake or kind of try to really pretend that this is the person. And I think we need to have kind of regulation on this, because like for me, it's easy to recognize because I can ask a couple of questions to be sure. And we are saying because it was not really good in the past, believe me that this right now, sometimes it's very difficult to recognize at the first point. And there are a lot of old people, they really wouldn't recognize. They don't even know that there is such technology. So that's why it's super important to have the regulation on this, to be sure that with whom we are, with which that we are talking with AI.
Yeah, but you already just said that that there are so many new tools, solutions, AI, that you even in your organization, like Kasia said, it's difficult to be updated in the regular case. To what is allowed, what is not allowed. Heather, how do you see? Do you agree that it should be labeled or not really?
I think it should be labelled, and I think it's about building trust with consumers as well. But there's a balance. So I think you have to be made aware of, I think if you're interacting directly with AI, you have to be made aware of it. And I think there has to be a risk-based approach to how clearly that's labelled, to exactly what Magda said around, if there are vulnerable people, there's a risk that people then become exploited or are forced into decisions that they wouldn't have taken if they weren't in that situation. So I think there's almost a safeguarding component of it that we have to be really clear on. But there's also a balance, because AI is becoming so intrinsic in business processes we risk going the other way and over communicating to consumers that that's what we're doing, and you sign so many disclaimers. By the end of it, you're going, I don't know what I'm signing up to. So it's that balance of informed consent, I think, is what it is, of saying, I know what you're doing with my data and I know why, but it's about balancing it with harm. But I always joke with my friends that, there's a fine line with that, because there's so many things on like personalized advertising that I've bought that I would not have spent money on if the advert hadn't popped up on a social media feed or something. But there's always a balance on trying to find, like, where do we draw that line and how does it actually impact people's lives, and making sure that if somebody is unsure, they have an opportunity to investigate it more. Because if we don't, and someone finds out later down the line that it's AI, you've then broken the trust. And you're probably going to remove all of the efficiencies and gains you've made by implementing AI, because you're going to have to go back and rebuild the confidence. So it really is striking a balance to get to that level of informed consent that, is based on the risk that it gives to either the customer, the consumer, or the organization that's on the receiving end.
Yeah, and we have to learn, we have to practice and make mistakes. Unfortunately, we have to also make mistakes. And I have one of the most important questions for you ladies right now. And the question is really difficult, because I had so many discussions with my friends who are running their businesses. And the question is about, should we price our work lower because we are using different AI tools, because it is allows us to be more productive, we can do more of this work, we can work faster, or not? And what I will add more, a couple of my friends said, yes, charge me 20% less because you are using AI and you are allowed to do whatever you want. You can, but please check whether it is not a hallucination, check whether it is proper, and you can use it. On the other hand, my friends, no, absolutely. Because to use this AI tool, I needed to be skilled. I needed to know exactly know the ropes, know the topic, and check, of course, whether there are whether it is true or false, whether this is hallucination or not. So he's saying no, because to ask those prompts, you needed to be skilled and know what to ask. Others say yes, because you are using AI. And this is something that is really interesting for me. How you see it? Are they simply maybe industries that should be charged less because of using AI, or not? This is let's think about it in a philosophical, an ethical approach. Heather, what is your approach? It was a long question, but I think it's
really interesting, because I think it's really funny, because there's a different conception as to, well, I'm not getting it from a human, therefore I should pay less. The AI is more accurate than we are. That's the irony of, you're going to get a better service, so therefore you should, it shouldn't cost less for you to have an increased level of service. And I think it's a shift, and it's a lot of the shift we've seen before of buying a specific thing versus the outcome that you get from it. And I think it's going to represent a shift in business models more generally, where people aren't buying a certain thing, a SKU, something very, very specific. They're buying the outcome it drives. And I think that's a real shift that we're going to have to go through. But I think it's a fallacy to think that the human gives a better, more expensive outcome, because the level of expectation we put on an AI model for accuracy is far greater than we ever put on a human. And we make far more mistakes. So I think it requires a different level of shift in how we think about it. But I don't think we should charge less. I think we should charge differently to how we have
maybe
before.
more. Maybe more, because
I think it has to be different in what it is that we're doing, because it's not more or less, it's something else. And I think that's a different shift that we're going to have to go through as the market moves. And it's moving faster than we can keep up with it at the moment. I don't think the models of today are necessarily fit for purpose for the future.
Yeah, but still, this is not a lot of people talk about it. Magda, how do you feel?
Price comes with demand. So if the service is good, then it will be more expensive. That's it. So just easy. But I think that there is another thing which we need to remember still. All the tools we have, they are the tools. We have tendency to personalize them, and I think the demystification it's need to happen as well. So if we have, it's still tool, the whole responsibility of usage is on us. And actually, it's like if I have the sharp knife to cut the slice of bread, and someone else has used something that it takes much more time, why I should be blamed for this? It's kind of really our responsibility to learn those tools right now. I would say even to those level, it's our accountability, personal and responsible our personal responsibility to learn those tools and to teach those tools also other people who are staying behind, and it's, this also social responsibility of those who are already using, but generally it's our personal responsibility to use them. So if we would actually say put some penalties or something, actually it makes everything more difficult, because actually this is just, and then we start to think that this is something really wrong, and then it started to have this problem with education and everything around this. And I think we need to simplify thinking about AI. Maybe it will change, but right now this is a tool.
Yeah. One of my friends told me that he has a contract with a corporation where he is not allowed to use AI in the corporation. So really, there are so many interesting things happens around AI, and I guess that this is your job as well, to educate clients and people how to see the outputs, what AI is producing. Kasia, can you also share with us what is your point of view here?
And that was also very interesting what you said about Heather and Magda, and touching also upon this. Heather, you said something like about the quality. Yes, that sometimes it's even better, and I guess getting back to your question, Anita, about should we charge more? I think it also depends on what type of quality we can deliver. Yes, because for example, if we as a company have nicely intertwined the mixture of experts, so like the whole system of AI that does certain little jobs here and there, and thanks to this we can, for example, provide the quicker, the faster, and like better quality results. I believe maybe yes, because there's been some investment in the way we work in the internal AI systems for a company. So it's natural. We've done some investment, and we can give you a better, faster value. Yes, that gives you defensibility on the market. So it's both like defensibility for the clients, yes, that leverage from this, but basically also defensibility for us, yes, creating the space for bringing more value, yes. And this is how I see it. Let's say I can do the same result, or even a little less quality, yes, in quality, but I can do it faster, and it's okay for you because for your purposes that's like totally fine. I have a space to create more value, yes. So I think that it's like around defensibility mechanisms for both sides, yes, of the businesses, basically.
Absolutely. On one hand, I recently read an article about convenience culture, that we live in a culture where everything is something for us to make it faster, to make it more accurate. Like even vacuum cleaner, it can do his job without our hands. So I guess that AI will be also one of this convenient culture in business. And it's a lot of work and education in front of us. So Hefe, if you think about 2 or 3 sentences you would like to sum up this topic about AI in business and in ethical boundaries, what would you add? But because maybe we missed something you wanted to say, but we have to unfortunately going to close.
I feel like we could stay here all night having this conversation. I think it would never end. The things for me are you've got 2 levels. You've got personal productivity, and then you have enterprise productivity. So I think there are huge leaps that we can make in how we help businesses operate more efficiently. But the outcome is the same. It's how do we unlock the capability of the people? Because that's the true magic of it. That's the true differentiator for every organization, is how do we help people do more of what they love and bring more value to that? And I think we talk a lot about the risk, we talk a lot about the concern, but I actually think that's the magical part of it, is it's a tool of empowerment and taking away some of the administrative piece. But the outcome is the same, whether it's at an enterprise process level or whether it's at that individual level of just helping people do things a little bit faster and a little bit better. Is always about the people at the end of the day. And that's the differentiator for every organization. And I think that's the competitive risk that people have if they're not willing to participate and accelerate AI. Either their people will move on to somewhere where they can, or their people will get left behind and there'll be increased frustration. So I think it's about unlocking the capability of the people in their organization.
Magda, can you share with us your, let's say, summary of this webinar? And of course, you can add
maybe
things.
Not. I will add something additionally,
Yeah.
which I was thinking, because we were talking about ethics a little bit. I think from the business perspective, I believe and I encourage my customers to start as soon as possible. Because if you don't start right now, it will be very difficult to start later. But there is a lot of discussion, maybe not right now, maybe later. And I encourage everyone to start as soon as possible and give a space for people to try to learn and to do the education. It's for the company, it's their accountability and responsibility, leaders, to do this right now. This is the first thing. Regarding the ethics, I think that what is important is that when we talk about ethics, we are talking about people, because only people are connected with this, not the tools. The tools can be designed in an ethical way or not. They can be, they can respect the security, they respect the privacy, they can be transparent and so on. They can be designed, but they can also be used in a responsible way. It's not the tools are, because when we start talking about is it ethical AI or not, AI, it's not the question. It's not the right question. It can be designed in an ethical way or not, and then it can be used that way. So there is a lot of responsibility on us. So if someone else is pointing out like, don't use, this is not ethical, my answer would be it's responsibility for everyone. Yes, for the leaders to have to set the tone, and to the educators to educate, to the legal to put some boundaries and do, for example, if we are reacting to those labeling and so on, to do it in a way that it protects people and so on. Everyone roles have some role here, has a role to play, I would say. So I would add this one.
Kasia, and almost the last words for you.
So for me, I would say that there was like a gold rush. Now it's like AI rush, I would say. But what I see this rush, but at the same time, I see that, I know I mentioned it today earlier, but I still see a gap between progress, very fast progress in AI, and adoption. And I think that the companies are still very resistant. Like, okay, they see AI implementations as complex, prone to ethical or operational challenges. Yes, sometimes maybe risky. And what we also encourage our clients to do is start with basically the projects that are safer, measurable, and in a sense. And one of the examples that I think like actually each business could go towards to is creating their own individual rack systems. So because it solves two big issues behind LLMs. One is like outdated data, and the other one is like lack of reliable source. Yes, so if you have your own rack system, you can actually populate the database with your own trusted, tested, and double checked information and most up-to-date information. So that's gonna feed you with the right output if you ask the right question, yes. But it's not going to say anything that's not facts, yes. It may not have the right answer for you, but it's going to, it brings this safety into the whole interaction, yes, for a company, I guess. And the other one would be, I guess, start with something that is not connected with irreversible decisions, and it's not the AI taking over something, but actually supporting, yes. And one of these example could be a project we've run together with Monster, this HR global leader. So what they are actually doing currently is they are leveraging AI to support job seekers. So when you are interested in a given role, you can practice the whole interview with the use of AI. And it's not only going to give you like the right questions based on the job profile and your profile, but that's going to also analyze your answers and provide you feedback. And what they've seen very quickly is that, the rise in the engagement as with the tool. So and with the platform itself. So it's been a braver move, but still, yes, it's like in the soft skill process, yes, of practicing for the job interviews. Nothing wrong can happen, Yeah, you can still get different questions, yes, because but still you can practice and you can be, a little bit more confident. So we are supporting the users, yes, but it's nothing tragic is going to happen, yes, nothing risk is going to happen, yes.
Last year, there was a sentence that I heard almost all the time when I participated in conferences, and it was more or less like that. That it is not AI that will take our jobs, but people who are using AI will take our jobs. So I guess that this is, let's say, a summary of what you already said. That this is something that it elevates our effects. It's help us be productive. It's help us give better output, better outcome, better work, better analysis. So why not use it? But of course, we have to remember about safety, security, and all the things connected with the IP as well. So it was a pleasure. It was really full of insights, impressive, practical webinar. Thank you so much. Thank you for finding the time. I really regret, as I mentioned, that this time is passing so fast. It's like a minute, with you. And I hope that we will have a coffee in a real place where we'll have a chance to talk about AI and not only an AI. So, dear audience, here with us was Kasia Gruszka, partner at Nomtech, Magdalena Kasiewicz, Director of Cloud Services Sales at HPE, Hefe Barton-Jones, Area Vice President, Strategic Transformation Office at UiPath International. Ladies, thank you so much. Have a good evening. And of course, thank you for watching us. Thank you. Bye-bye.